I just came across this article from Insider. It says the American nuclear family is officially over. Over. It's a wrap. Let's see what this article is saying. Okay, the bullet points. A new analysis from Pew Research Center looks at the composition of modern families. Compared to 1970, far fewer adults are living with a spouse and at least one child. It reflects how socioeconomic challenges are changing what families look like. Now, if you are paying attention and you're under 40, you know that this is true. But it's just the older generation that feels like gaslighting us, acting like it's still possible. And those are the people that are still in charge of everything. But let's flesh out this article. Gone are the white picket fences, the 2.5 children in the suburbs, and married parents. The American nuclear family is officially dead, according to a new analysis from the Pew Research Center, even if some Americans haven't accepted it yet. In 1970, nearly 70% of American adults aged 25 to 49 were living with a spouse and at least one child. Dang, 70%. As of 2021, the most recent year for which they have data, it's fallen to 37%. At the same time, other family arrangements have become more common. In 1970, essentially no one was reported to be cohabitating unmarried with kids. By 2021, that rose to 5%. And significantly, 18% of American adults were married with no kids, or dinks, in 1970. And as of 2021, that's risen to 21%. Okay, so family living arrangements are becoming more and more diverse in their composition. While married adults with kids are still the most common family arrangement, they are far less common than they were in the past. That makes sense. Americans are getting married less and later in life, and they're also having fewer children. You can chalk some of that up to how millennials and increasingly Gen Z are navigating their own socioeconomic challenges. For instance, millennials have powered a rise in multi-generational households. As Insider previously reported, Pew finds that 11% of adults who are living with other family members in 2021. I'm sorry, that's 11% of adults who are living with family members in 2021. That's up from 5% in 1970. Meanwhile, the Census Bureau found that the median age for first marriages has risen substantially for both men and women. In 1957, women got married the first time around age 20. In 2022, it is nearly 30 at 28 years of age. It's similar for men who got married for the first time at 23, and now it is 30 as of 2022. Now, I want to highlight the manosphere talking point where they act like men are just getting married significantly older. Understand that typically there is a 2-year age gap between men and women when they first get married. It's literally like 2 years. The outliers where older men are getting with younger women are outliers. Understand the math, the data. It typically says that there is a 2-year gap between men and women as they get married, not the outlier with the May-December relationships. Okay, let's continue. At the same time, who's getting married is changing. Pew finds that 16% of married American adults are in an interracial marriage. 16%. That's up from 4% in 1970. The percentage of same-sex marriages has also increased since it was ruled legal nationwide in 2015. But marriage is increasingly becoming something that not every American seems to have access to. In 1970, Americans with a high school diploma were just as likely as Americans with at least a bachelor's degree to be married. That's not true anymore. It also means that Americans with less education, along with Black Americans and Hispanic Americans who have seen their marriage rates plunge, are missing out on the greater net worth and greater chance of home ownership associated with marriage. Nowadays, what we see is that individuals who have a bachelor's degree are much more likely to be married than individuals who have a high school education. During the time period that Pew looked at, we know that socioeconomic inequalities in the United States have increased, and that's reflected in our families and how our families look today. But even as the American family changes, it doesn't mean Americans feel good about it. Pew found that Americans are pessimistic about the future of family and marriage, although more said that having a job or career they enjoy is more fulfilling than having children, a lot of money, or being married. We definitely still view that nuclear family as the most acceptable and ideal form, even though families are becoming more and more different and they're much more diverse than they were in the past. Whew, that's a lot. The nuclear family was crafted anyway by legislation. And the 1950s and certain things that were pushed through and the things that women were made to do or restricted from doing was to create this nuclear family where the woman had to rely on a man and had to get married and basically had no choice but to have kids because she didn't have access to birth control unless her husband said so. So a lot of the things about the nuclear family was crafted anyway. This is a lot of stuff to unpack. Women have a lot more choices, and women are opting out of marriage and children. Also, can we be effing for real about the economy? Let's be for real. People can't afford home ownership. People cannot afford to send their kids to college. People cannot afford to go and have kids in a hospital because they don't have insurance. So, if we want to turn this thing around, if we want the people to have kids, the people that want to have kids, it has to be feasible. And at this current juncture in life, it is just not feasible. And until somebody fixes it, I foresee the marriage rates continue to plunge. I foresee the birth rates continue to plunge. And I foresee a widening gap between men and women because that's just where things are. Now that women have rights, opportunities, and freedom, and we're not second class citizens, we are taking that and we're running with it. So, yes, I like that they put this into an article, but there are more things that go along with this article that need to be hammered out. You guys can jump into the comments. Let me know, are you seeing the same things that I'm seeing? Let me know. Let's continue this discussion because I believe that it is a lot bigger than Pew Research. I mean, it's their job to give us the data, but now we get to take this data and we get to flesh it out and make it make sense. We get to interpret it based on our experiences and the things that we see. So, you guys, let me know what you think. Jump in the comments, like, comment, share, and if you enjoy my content, please go ahead and give me a follow.